Germany has a very complicated legacy. While German-speaking peoples have inhabited Central Europe for millennia, a unified German state did not exist until the creation of the German Empire in 1871. In the 150 years since unification, Germany has had a massive influence on world politics, for better or for worse. A key component of the modern German identity is that of Vergangenheitsarbeitung, defined as coming to terms with one's past. One can see the marks of Vergangenheitsarbeitung across all of the public spaces of Germany. In this film, we will explore the places where Germany preserves the scars of its past in order to prepare for the future. Our journey begins in the second largest city in Germany, Hamburg. While Hamburg is over 1,000 years old, few examples of historic architecture exist, as the city was destroyed 3 times in its history. First was the Great Fire in 1842, then a cholera outbreak in 1892, and finally the bombings during the Second World War. This forced the city to rebuild itself multiple times over. Nonetheless, historic locations still exist in Hamburg, with the most prominent example being the Rathaus, or Town Hall. It was completed in 1897 and was meant to replace the old town hall that was destroyed in the Great Fire. Here, one can see how Hamburg's history influenced the design of the building. Statues of the past rulers of Germany line the facade of the Rathaus, demonstrating Hamburg's loyalty to the then recently established German Empire. However, directly above the statues of kings past are depictions of tradesmen and merchants. This is a possible reflection of Hamburg's previous status as a free city. During the days of the Holy Roman Empire, Hamburg was a republic, governed by the city council. Even today, Hamburg retains a great deal of sovereignty, as it is an independent federal state within Germany. The reason for the city's autonomy can be found in the crown jewel of Hamburg, the port. Hamburg has a long history with the sea. Both Hamburg and the nearby city of Lübeck were founding members of the Hanseatic League, a powerful confederation of merchants that united Northern Europe and, at its height, stretched all the way from London to Novgorod. While the Hanseatic League is now a distant memory, Hamburg is still a major trade hub. Today, Hamburg is currently the 3rd largest port in Europe after Rotterdam and Antwerp. As mentioned before, few buildings constructed before the 20th century exist in Hamburg, including almost all examples of architecture from the Hanseatic League. However, all is not lost, as nearby Lübeck is filled to the brim with examples of beautifully preserved architecture from the Hanseatic era, such as the many merchant houses that line the streets, the absolutely gorgeous St. Mary's Church, and the Hanse Museum, a museum dedicated to the history of the League. From what we have seen, it seems like Hamburg and Lübeck have a proud history as the old trading capitals of Europe. However, much like the rest of Germany, it is not all sunshine and roses. On the outskirts of Hamburg lies the lovely village of Neuengamme, an idyllic place with flowing streams, historic houses, and old willow trees bending in the wind. It is hard to believe that such a beautiful place has a history of intense cruelty and hate. This village is the home of a former concentration camp, also named Neuengamme. Originally founded as a satellite camp to the nearby camp of Sachsenhausen, Neuengamme quickly grew to become the largest concentration camp in northern Germany. 106,000 inmates suffered at Neuengamme, with 42,000 of whom dying. Neuengamme was a work camp and primarily housed political prisoners, criminals, Roma, non-whites, and anti-socials, people who did not act in accordance with Nazi ideals. The most feared assignment in Neuengamme was being sent to the pits. Prisoners would be marched out in the freezing cold, wearing nothing but threadbare prison garb, to dig for clay in the nearby fields. After a cart was fully loaded with several tons of clay, the prisoners were forced to push it at running speed across the field and up a steep ramp into the brick factory. Cruelty was encouraged among the guards, as the prisoners were, in the eyes of the Nazis, considered non-human. Chillingly, the only restriction placed upon the guards was that they could not waste bullets shooting the prisoners. Any other cruel act was fair game. As one traverses the camp, one cannot help but wonder if they would have resisted the oppression of the Nazis, or would the fear of being sent here overcome any morality? These thoughts have certainly crossed the mind of every German citizen since the end of the war. Depressingly, Neuengamme was converted into a conventional prison after the war, erasing the legacy of this place. Thankfully, pressure from activists and survivors of the camp led to the government of Hamburg converting Neuengamme into a memorial for those who suffered here. The preservation of this camp ensures that the generations who come after us will make the right choices and never allow such suffering again. The next part of our journey takes us to the capital of Germany, Berlin. Here, one can hear the echoes of history more clearly than anywhere else in Germany. Across from the iconic Brandenburg Gate lies a square block of concrete slabs. This is the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe, better known as the Holocaust Memorial. Looking out over the memorial, it does not seem very impressive, just a field of nondescript concrete slabs. However, as one enters the memorial, the mood changes rapidly. The floor lowers, and the slabs seem to tower over the visitor, creating a claustrophobic atmosphere. This represents the oppression felt by the Jews persecuted by the Nazis. At the time of its construction, the Holocaust Memorial was criticized for being vague. The word Holocaust is not present anywhere in the memorial, nor are the names of those who suffered under the Nazis. To alleviate this, an information center was built underneath the memorial, preserving the legacy of the greatest tragedy to face mankind. The fact that a memorial to the Holocaust was placed in such a prominent location in the capital demonstrates Germany's commitment to educating future generations to prevent a repetition of the crimes of the past. By far, the most painful scar of the past in Berlin is the wall which divided the city for almost 30 years. After the end of World War II, Germany was partitioned between the Allied powers. While the West prospered thanks to the support from the Allies, the East suffered behind the Iron Curtain. The citizens of East Germany were dissatisfied, to say the least. Thus, people fled East Germany in droves through West Berlin. This was clearly a problem for the Soviets. So, in 1961, they ordered the construction of a wall around West Berlin, ostensibly to protect Western elements from getting into East Germany, but its true purpose was to keep the East Germans from getting out. The wall stood for 28 years, splitting the city in two. Many people tried to escape East Germany during this time, most of whom, tragically, never made it. In 1989, the wall finally fell, leading to German reunification and the end of the Cold War. The effects of half a century of division still mark the city of Berlin. One can still see the division from space. Large sections of the wall still stand, in part to commemorate the past, but to also preserve an unexpected effect of the wall. As with the rest of the world, graffiti is considered vandalism in Germany. However, an interesting twist of fate led to the creation of the largest open-air gallery on Earth. To allow East German guards to patrol the border, the wall was built just slightly within East German territory. However, patrols were infrequent, and most East German guards did not care if West Germans came to paint on the wall. Today, a long stretch of the wall known as the East Side Gallery is preserved to protect several acclaimed works of art painted onto the side of the wall. What was once a symbol of oppression has now become an icon of creativity and free expression. As one travels around Germany, one cannot help but ask why there are so many monuments. At times, it feels as though Germany is obsessed with its past. All of the monuments and historical sites here, however, serve an important purpose. Germany is responsible for some of the most heinous crimes against humanity in history. To re-enter the world, so to speak, Germany fully committed itself to educating its citizens about the crimes of their ancestors. This ensured that future generations would never allow such atrocities again. It is only recently that other countries began reconciling with their past on a scale anywhere close to Germany. Germany provides a worthy example for other countries to follow when they re-examine the scars of their past.